Well, it's that time in the morning when we'll be looking at the front pages of the international newspapers, and I'm delighted to say joining me in the studio is the political commentator, Joseph Danquah. Joseph, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Let's start with Nigeria's newspaper, This Day. Two stories on the front page here.
It's about the positions being vied for by the APC. You know that Nigeria has a very complex political system, and the ethnicity is taken into consideration when these things are being done. So President-elect Buhari is trying as much as possible to make sure that positions are given on regional basis, and therefore it will bring a lot. It will show a broad-based government. Even though he's from the north, he would like to make sure that everybody from every part of Nigeria is recognized within the governmental system.
And who is Tinubu? Who is he?
He's the chairman of the APC, and more or less he was like the kingmaker, because he was the one who brought those who defected from PDP and APC together. They formed an alliance to, to defeat the incumbent President Goodluck. So he plays a very vital role, and I think he's as of now he's working very well with President-elect Buhari. And for Nigeria, this is a very good sign that this government means business, and they mean to put their differences aside and have the so-called consensus politics. Yeah.
The other story that This Day is running is obviously Boko Haram. Ambassadors of 16 countries meet President-elect.
Yes. There's also like a mini summit where President elect Buhari met these ambassadors to see the way forward towards having a lasting peace within that region of Nigeria, where Cameroon and Chad were very instrumental in
Niger,
yes, in crushing the Boko Haram rebels so far. And him having this mini summit shows that he wants to get head on with this, to tackle this situation, because this was one of the problems which caused the defeat of President Goodluck, and he doesn't want. I believe he doesn't want to be tagged with such a tag of being a failure politically.
It's interesting. The article here talks about how the Japanese ambassador had met with Buhari, and of course, Nigeria obviously is a country that's mineral and resources rich, and without stability, that's not going to attract international investment unless they can actually, get a handle on Boko Haram.
Yes, I think the major thing is that no investor would like to come into an area where there's political uncertainty, and therefore the major drive for economic growth is security. If a place is safe, people will come in and invest money, and they'll bring in their personnel. So I believe that strongly that him tackling this situation and getting it solved will attract investment into Nigeria, and the country will go forward.
OK, let's move on. Two papers that are dealing with this story. The first is the Wall Street Journal Asia, Rulers Snub Arab Summit. This is, of course, President Barack Obama, who is holding a meeting at the White House, Camp David, in an effort to build Arab support. But, of course, some Arab leaders have decided to stay away following what's happening, they say, in Yemen, but the subtext possibly could be the Iran nuclear deal that's fast approaching.
Yes, the king of Saudi Arabia, King Salman, and also the king of Bahrain also staying away. And for me, it's a blow to President. Even though they're sending in the crown prince, I mean, it would be preferable that the monarch himself goes there. But I think that it's in a way it could be a blow to the Obama administration, because they want to be seen to be working in partnership with the Gulf Council states, where they will move together and then forge an alliance to get the approval. But the bigger picture is that Saudi Arabia doesn't trust Iran, and they don't want a situation whereby they are not too certain of what this deal will bring to them, and the instability can cause them in the region.
Yes, and of course this story is also being sort of touched on, but more on the Yemen side of things, by the Kuwait Times. This is looking at how the different factions, or the different MPs from different factions, are rallying following the bombing that's happening in Yemen.
Yeah, there's an MP called Abdul Hamid Dashid. He's trying to say that the deal here of the war between the attack of Saudi Arabia into Yemen is unconstitutional, and that he's realizing that the the government of.
He's saying it violates the
Constitution, and therefore he wants to make sure that the legal department or the lawyers or the government has a look at it, that it's not constitutional. Therefore, they want to have a look at it. But he's in the minority because there are only 7 Shiite MPs out of 50, and even other MPs are lukewarm towards it. So I doubt whether they will go any far further.
Okay, let's move on to China and the Global Times. The front page there shows a man standing in the rubble. And this, again, another horrific attack. This is happening in Macedonia following fighting in Kumanovo, the story that we're running here on Arise News.
I hope it doesn't turn into a larger war, because Balkans, because it's that area in Europe has historical problems dating to the First World War and all that. It has very the different cultural groups usually have a volatile mix. So the Serbs,
it's the ethnic tension, isn't it?
Yes, it's very pronounced. And if these things start kicking out, I hope it doesn't spread to other countries in that region, because that area has had a history of war. You saw Yugoslavia and in Kosovo and all that. So we hope it doesn't. But these things need to be, the countries need to come together and solve this problem. Okay,
the Times in South Africa. Zuma's decision to cancel the NPA inquiry faces threat of court challenge.
Yes, it says here, pay as they go. I mean, this is inept leadership. I believe they should have investigated before even appointing the man.
So this is briefly about President Jacob Zuma trying to quash any investigation into his national director.
Yes, but this is the Director of Public Prosecutions. It's a top job, and people who are going to take up sub jobs need to be vetted long before even they're given their position.
And need to be very transparent.
Yes, but even though even if he's not transparent, they should be able to know who the individual is, his background, and to be certain of him, but not to give him the position and realize that they've made a mistake. And therefore, in such situations, people will be given golden handshakes, and these are monies which could be used for better things for the country. And it shows that it's an inept type of leadership where people just I believe that he might even be a member of the ANC, and therefore he was appointed based upon his loyalties, but not because of his competence.
Okay, and very briefly, let's look at the Australian newspaper, the Courier Mail. Picture of a freediver here, showing some of the coral in the Great Barrier Reef, which has been plagued for a long time with damage. There are claims, and they are just claims, that it's starting to bounce back, albeit very slowly.
This is an area which attracts 5.8 billion worth of tourists every year, which I mean, it's a UNESCO heritage site. So I mean, Australia needs to look at it very well and make sure that it doesn't.
They need to make it a priority, really, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And if they don't, then I mean, they're going to lose out financially and even culturally and historically.
Yes, and one report doesn't mean that it's actually happening. So we need to take that into consideration. Joseph, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you.